Today's topic is how to relax when you're riding, because a lot of adult riders, especially, carry physical tension as well as some mental tension when we're riding. And we know that that interferes with not only how well we can ride, but also how well our horse can do what we're asking him or her to do. And they can also pick up on that tension in our body. So I'm going to give you 3 quick tips on to help you relax when you're riding. And if this is your first time joining me, I'm Ann Gage, the horse riding confidence coach, and I help anxious horse riders get back in the saddle with confidence and joy. I'm the author of this book behind me, The Confident Rider, Confident Horse, which is available on my website, confidenthorsemanship.com. So, with no further ado, on we go. So, tip number 1, breathe. You may have heard me say this before, but this is the fastest way to calm yourself down. And the best way is to make your exhale longer than your inhale. It doesn't really matter what the count is, as long as your exhale is longer than your inhale. And along with that, as you're breathing, and you can be doing this before you get on your horse, you can be doing it while you're driving to the barn or the yard. You can do it when you're on your horse. So you focus on your breath, and at the same time you open up your vision. So you use your peripheral vision. So you're taking in more of what's around you, and that automatically is a calming signal to your brain. And we need to get the brain involved, to get the brain feeling calm in order to help our body relax, because a relaxed mind cannot exist a relaxed body cannot relax when your mind is tense. So that's point number 1, is breathe. Point number 2 is engage. Now, again, you can be doing this before you get on to ride your horse, but especially when you're sitting on your horse, is to engage your core. And when you engage your core, that doesn't mean tightening up your stomach muscles so that you cannot breathe properly, which is what I'm doing right now. It's just engaging or just isolating those muscles in your abdomen to support your lower back, and you should be able to talk and breathe just as normally as I am right now. You want to center your body. So you can do this when you're sitting, when you're standing, when you're sitting on your horse. Center your body. So you see I just came back and brought my shoulders over my hips. Align your body and align yourself over your seat bones correctly so that you're not perched forward, you're not tipping backwards, but you're over your seat bones, and your seat bones are such that you're taking that arc out of your lower back, but again without tightening up anything else. And you can practice this while you're just sitting in a hard chair, so that you have a neutral spine. And that neutral spine is really important allow you to follow your horse's movement, to be supple and not rigid. Because a lot of riders, in order to hold their posture, what they believe is their correct riding posture, will tense up throughout their whole body. And we can't do that. We don't, to be moving with our horses, we don't want to be doing that. Because again, we're sitting on our horse's spine, and if we're tighten up your butt, and you can do it right now if you're sitting down, or even if you're standing. Tighten up your butt, and you'll feel everything else tightens up. My thighs have just tightened up. My toes have tightened up. My chest and my upper back is tightened up. So you want to be able to have that neutral spine that allows you that suppleness, that movement, so that you can be in the moment. You can be present and responsive to what your horse is doing. So step number 1 was breathe and go into your hakalau, that wide peripheral vision. Sally Swift called that soft eyes. Number 2 was engage. So you're going to engage your core without getting tight through your whole body. You're going to sit tall. You're going to get aligned. Okay. Point number 3, or tip number 3, is release. So do this when you first get on your horse. Plan on spending some time, several minutes, or maybe even your whole ride, just at the walk. The walk is the most underutilized and the most ignored gait, and it is the most important. It is the foundation of everything. So get on your horse and walk. And as your horse is walking, you're going to, again, check that you're aligned. You're going to start releasing from your toes. Just check in. Are you gripping with your toes? I have my students so if this is my boot, and this is my foot in my boot, I ask them just to lift their toes up off the sole of the boot, or the bottom of the boot. Not to lift the boot off the stirrup, but just to lift the toes and move the toes a little bit. You can even imagine you're picking up a little bit of sand with those toes, and that helps to release the tension. You can release the tension every time you exhale, but you're starting with your toes and you're working all the way up through all of your joints, all of your muscles, right up to the tip of your head, the top of your head, and even in your face. Because if you tighten in your jaw, a yoga teacher taught me this, you tighten up your jaw, you tighten in the hips, right? So you can smile, which helps to loosen the jaw. You can just move your jaw around and loosen it, and that will actually influence your hips, okay? So as you're doing that, and you're releasing this tension from your body at the walk, and you're just really going to feel and notice your horse's movement and allow your horse's movement to move your body. So I'm right now mimicking or imagining I'm sitting on a horse and we're having a nice walk, and my hips are just moving like this. And there's a little bit of an up and down movement and a little bit of a back and forth movement. It's very similar to when you're walking on your own 2 feet. And the final part of that release is just to allow yourself to sink deeper into the saddle, get a deeper seat. But again, you need to be sitting tall, you need to have the proper alignment, and you need to have the muscles working in a way that they connect you to the saddle without gripping, right? So you'll feel very balanced when you've got it correctly. You'll just feel it, that you are sort of plugged into your saddle, plugged into your horse, and just absorbing the movement. Okay, so those are your 3 tips, 3 quick tips to how to relax when you're riding. 1 is breathe and soften those eyes. Number 2 is engage, particularly your core, without getting tense. Think supple. And 3 is to release. Just take the time as you're walking, and even throughout your ride. Take breaks and just check in and release tension wherever you hold it in your body. So I'm just going to have a quick roll through here and see if there's any comments. Good. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad you enjoyed that or found that useful. Michelle, my friend rides a draft horse and constantly has to have a tight rein on him and has difficulty stopping him and cannot relax properly in the seat. Any information I can give her? Well, the first thing is to figure out why the horse is that tense. Of course, we can get into patterns with our horses where we're tense, causing the horse to be tense, causing us to be tense, and we have to be the first ones to break that cycle. But there can be a lot of underlying things causing this horse to be tense. What's his previous training? Does his saddle fit? Does he have any sore areas in his body? Does he have ulcers? Does he have teeth problems? There's so much to investigate about the tension of horse that I cannot give you a quick answer to that question. I do have a blog post about why horses buck at the canter. I'll have to look it up because I can't remember the title right now. And although I talk about the canter in the article, a lot of it breaks down as to what to look for when you're having any kind of a behavior problem with a horse. One thing that really helps with horses who are very forward is to work them always in a circle, always with whatever bend the horse has, work them with that bend. And the circle gives us control. And as you move the circle in, the horse, as long as you're keeping yourself and your horse balanced, as you move the circle in, the horse naturally slows himself down. Okay. And so I would work a horse, assuming I've eliminated any physical problems and now I'm just working with training on the horse. Circles and gradually spiraling in, gradually spiraling out. Anytime the horse gets too quick, we go into a smaller circle. And there's a lot in that where I don't want to be using my reins a lot because the horse is going to be tense against that. So that's the best I can give you as a general answer to help your friend out, Michelle. So I hope that's helpful. So I'd love to know how this helps you, how this information helps you. So you can comment below about, are you going to try it? It would be great to know. And if you want to come back later and let me know how it worked out for you. And if you found the information helpful, then please do share this video. Click that little share button and share it with somebody else who would benefit from it. And also, if you could like the video, that would really help it get more views. Jan, if we release, how do we maintain balance at the trot? I find I collapse forward unless I have more grip in the legs and thighs. I assume it's sitting deep in the saddle and trying to keep myself stable. So Jan, yeah, you really need to go back to that step, that point number 2, or that second tip I gave you about the engaging. You really want to be engaging your core. That is what is stabilizing you in the saddle. So if you're sitting in a chair right now, and just notice how you're sitting, because how our posture is generally is what we're going to take to the into the saddle. Of course, we don't miraculously change our posture just because we're sitting on a horse, and any weaknesses we have in our posture are going to be magnified when we're sitting on a horse. And with increased speed, those weaknesses get magnified. So sit on your chair, put your feet flat on the floor, and just keep your legs about, your hip width apart. Bring your shoulders back, not by forcing them back, but by sort of lifting. If I just adjust my camera a little bit here, but lifting and opening the chest like your chest is being filled with helium. So it's opening up like a helium balloon and lifting lightly without forcing it up, right? Shoulders over hips and seat bones. Let's see if I can show you this. Get my camera angled correctly and my microphone out of the way. So here is that arch in my back. I just want to bring my pelvis forward a bit, the bottom of my pelvis forward, until my seat bones are pointed to the ground. And with my shoulders over my hips, okay, now I can stand here, engage my core, and have movement throughout my joints. So I would work on, Jan, I would work on your core and finding that neutral spine in your saddle. And let me know if that's helpful. Mark, breathe, engage, and release. Okay, so releasing is just going from your toes all the way through your body to the top of your head and checking in where you're holding tension. And sometimes you don't realize, you're not sure you're holding tension, or you don't know how to release it. So in that case, tighten up, tense up a spot, like I'm tightening up my hands right now. Hold it for a couple of seconds and then let it go. Okay. Michelle, I have a lot more confidence on my horse by listening to you. Oh, cool. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad. That's why I do what I do. Kaza, most certainly will be trying the relax technique. Excellent. Okay, Jan, I'm glad that helps you a lot. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Okay, if there's, you're welcome, Mark. If there's no other questions, go away, give this a try, and then come back and let me know how it worked for you. And which part you liked the most. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me, and I will see you next week on my next live. And if you have any questions or topics you would like me to cover, let me know, and it could end up being my next Facebook Live. Bye for now. Enjoy the ride.